Shedeur Sanders moved closer to starting for the Browns without taking a snap. How much longer is Cleveland going to stick with Joe Flacco? Well, the good vibes from last weekend's shocking upset of the Green Bay Packers lasted for all of one quarter. In case you had any hope that stirring performance from the Cleveland Browns might be the start of a new era for the franchise, they disabused everybody of that notion almost immediately in a Week 4 matchup against the Detroit Lions, allowing 20 unanswered points en route to a 20-7 halftime deficit. While the defense certainly bears some of the blame, Joe Flacco sure didn't help matters. The 40-year-old has looked every bit his age on Sunday, tossing 2 picks while completing around 50% of his passes through the first 3 quarters. The arm talent is still good enough on most days, but the athleticism simply isn't. At this point in his career, it's clear that while he's a valuable backup, Flacco isn't the sort of quarterback who's going to elevate the players around him. Might be time for Joe Flacco to go be a family man. pic.twitter.com/rjuzgigahertzrk1. Barstool Sports, at Barstool Sports, September 28, 2025. Which is exactly what the Browns need right now. Cleveland isn't going to compete for a playoff spot this season, much less a Super Bowl. That much was known coming in. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are just looking for some signs of progress, evidence to point to that they've got this team headed in the right direction. Playing out the string with Flacco in the name of some fleeting sense of respectability isn't doing anything for anyone, and that's why Shedeur Sanders' time could be coming sooner rather than later. Joe Flacco is going to force the Browns' hand sooner rather than later. Which isn't to say that the team was wrong for not starting Sanders in Week 1, or that Shedeur is guaranteed to hit the ground running in the NFL. For all the furor surrounding his NFL draft slide, he fell for a reason, and not just because of concerns about his personality or his outsized media presence. He has a ways to go to become an above-average starter in the pros, which we saw in his preseason reps. But still, what are we doing here, exactly? Even if you want to argue that Sanders shouldn't be thrown to the wolves behind a sketchy offensive line and underwhelming supporting cast, it's hard to imagine Stefanski allowing his job to sit on the line while Flacco goes out and Xeroxes the same old aggressively mediocre stat line on a weekly basis. The incentive structure here points only in one direction, and that's making a change and hoping that it buys you some benefit of the doubt for the future. Of course, Dillon Gabriel is also here, and it's possible that Cleveland will pull that lever instead. But Gabriel is much more of a known quantity at this point, a guy with lackluster physical traits who's going to keep his head above water with anticipation and accuracy. He'll be a point guard, but again, he's hardly going to elevate. Sanders doesn't have a cannon for an arm either, but he can at least make things happen off-script more regularly, and he has more untapped potential for Stefanski and company to dream on. Or hey, maybe this Cleveland brass is willing to go down with the ship in the name of responsible quarterback development. The entire history of the league and human nature would suggest otherwise, though, and all Sanders has to do now is bide his time. The NFL is full of strange storylines, but few capture the imagination like a rookie quarterback rising in the depth chart without even stepping onto the field. That's exactly the situation surrounding Shedeur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns' high-profile rookie, whose journey toward becoming a starter seems to be unfolding in a way no one could have predicted. Shedeur, the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, entered the league with massive expectations. He wasn't just another rookie passer. He was a brand, a storyline, a quarterback whose college exploits had been streamed, dissected, and debated every Saturday. But in Cleveland, the Browns had promised patience. He would sit, learn, and develop behind veterans. The message was clear: Shedeur isn't here to save the franchise on day one. Yet, as the weeks roll by, the whispers are louder, the press conferences more cautious, and the coaching staff's body language more revealing. Without taking a single snap in a regular season game, Shedeur Sanders has inched closer to becoming the Browns' starting quarterback. A depth chart in flux. Football depth charts are like sandcastles. They look solid until the waves hit. Cleveland's original plan seemed safe: a steady veteran starter at the helm, a reliable backup ready in case of emergency, and Sanders tucked away as the future. But the NFL doesn't respect blueprints. An injury here, a shaky performance there, and suddenly the quarterback room doesn't feel as secure. The media in Cleveland have begun asking questions not about if Shedeur will play, but when. Each time a veteran quarterback misses a read, overthrows a receiver, or limps off the practice field, the cameras zoom tighter on Sanders. The power of presence. The most fascinating part: Sanders hasn't needed to step on the field to change the Browns' outlook. He's won teammates over with his confidence, his ability to command the locker room, and his calmness in high-pressure moments, even if those moments have only come in practice or film sessions. Coaches have praised his football IQ. Teammates talk about how he digests the playbook like someone who's been in the league for years. "He's not your average rookie," one veteran reportedly told a local radio host. "He walks in like he belongs, and you can feel it." Presence can be as powerful as production. Sanders has it. The Deion factor. Of course, being the son of prime time comes with baggage and blessing. Deion Sanders has been a constant voice in his son's corner, defending him from critics, praising his work ethic, and reminding the NFL world that Shedeur was raised for this stage. The Cleveland front office may not admit it, but the buzz surrounding Sanders boosts the franchise in ways beyond the field. Jersey sales are high. National media coverage spikes whenever his name is mentioned. And with the Browns fan base always hungry for hope, Shedeur has quickly become more than a backup. He's a symbol of what could be. Coach's dilemma. For head coach Kevin Stefanski, the situation is delicate. Handing the reins to Sanders too early risks stunting his development. Keeping him on the bench while veterans struggle risks losing the locker room and the fan base. The Browns have seen this movie before. Draft a quarterback, start him too soon, and watch him crumble. But Sanders feels different. He has patience when he needs it, swagger when it's required, and a maturity that makes teammates believe he could handle the spotlight. So Stefanski does the only thing he can. He dodges questions. Asked about Sanders' readiness, he says, "We want all of our guys ready." Pressed about the depth chart, he smiles and insists, "We're comfortable with where we're at." But behind the scenes, the whispers grow louder. Momentum without movement. What makes this story almost surreal is how momentum builds without actual movement. Shedeur hasn't thrown a touchdown in an NFL game. He hasn't even completed a preseason highlight that lives on social media. But he doesn't need to. Every interception by the starter becomes a headline about Shedeur's timeline. Every injury update fuels speculation about his chance.